I don't think I took my ADHD meds today. Oh well. That sound. Oh, I look forward to this every day. What is up, bitches? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you are seated. Are you sat? Are you sat? Do you have a snack? Do you have a little beverage? Because we are going through my top 24 favorite reads of 2024. Yeah, we're yapping. We are yapping up a storm, and I have been looking forward to this all week. Oh. I have read some absolutely amazing books this year, so we're gonna get right into it. Also, side note, okay, the month of December has quite literally been one of the worst reading months of my entire life, so you better believe talking about my favorite books is going to give me life, because reading just books aren't hitting right now. What better way to start off than with one of my favorite series of the year, okay? This is the Zodiac Academy series, and I'm holding up my favorite book, which is Shadow Princess. I do this thing, right? Where when I become obsessed with a book or a series, it is my life. It is my entire personality. I eat, sleep, breathe it. That was this right here. When I tell you, I like teleported into these pages. Zodiac Academy gets a lot of shit on the internet, and I am here ready to defend it with my dying breath. You literally get every single magical creature under the sun in this book. We have phoenixes, we have griffins, we have fae, we have vampires, we have werewolves, there's pegasuses, pegasi? Dragon shifters. We're in an academy setting, okay? You will get one of the best, actually the best, enemies to lovers plot lines in this series, the best professor-student relationship in this series, peak emotional damage. The amount of tears I shed. We went through every single stage of grief reading this series like 5 times over. Is the writing top tier? No. Do I care? Literally not at all. When we're over here, we're here for the vibes. We're here for a good time. We're here to giggle and kick our feet. Next, okay, completely switching gears. We're going into dark romance. We have Kill Switch, which is the third and my favorite book in the Devil's Night series. I still can't believe that this was my first dark romance series. I started my dark romance journey this year. Now, this is an interconnected standalone series where each book follows a different couple, but it is a continuous plot line throughout, so you have to read it in order. This is second chance romance. All of the guys in some way, shape, or form think that their love interest was involved in sending them to prison years ago. Damon Torrance is also one of my favorite dark romance book boyfriends. He's morally black. Makes me question some things about myself, but I really don't care. Also, this was my introduction to my obsession with masked men. There's really no turning back after that. It's snowing out right now and it's gloomy, and all I want to do is rot in bed. Like, that's like my body's just yearning for it. Ooh, bitch. Okay, this next one, I'm counting these two as one book, okay? We have Saving Six and Redeeming Six by Chloe Walsh. This is part of the Boys of Tommen series, and these two books follow Joey and Aoife. I feel sick just thinking about this series in general, especially these two books. This is so much more than a contemporary romance. This is a story of just heartbreak and trauma and tragedy. This is a series that I think about every single day. When I think about it, I feel homesick. Like, that's the best way to describe it. These characters become a part of you. You get so emotionally attached to them and invested in them. They go through hell and back a million times over. Joey Lynch's book husband. My heart is in pieces for him. He is one of my favorite tortured soul MMCs, must be protected at all costs. I don't have words for this series. Like, why are you looking at me like that? I swear, every time I look at this book, I blush, because this is God of Wrath. This is the third book in the Legacy of God series, one of my favorite dark romance series. This is my favorite book in the series. You wanna know why? Here, let me tell you, actually. It has Jeremy Volkov in it. He is my #1 dark romance book boyfriend. He could do things to me. He could do anything to me. I wouldn't question it. That's fine. This was my introduction to stalker romance. I do, in fact, have a thing for an obsessive, possessive, morally black, psychopathic stalker. He also knows like every little tiny detail about her and is so attentive to her needs. It's not because he watches her 24/7 or anything. The Mindfuck series. This series, this is like a dark romantic suspense. Oh my God. If you have not read this yet, what are you doing? She's the morally gray one. She's a serial unaliver on her revenge arc. And are you listening to me? Okay. Her boyfriend, you know what he is? He is the FBI agent on her case. Yeah, he is. Next, we have my baby Nocticadia. Now, if you follow me on TikTok, you have heard me yap and yippity yap about this all the time. This is a dark gothic romance, dark academia, professor, student, secret society. I'm like having an out-of-body experience just thinking about it. Dr. Death, Daddy Deverick, Professor Bramwell. This man spews poetry, but his mouth is also absolute filth. One of the best tension-filled slow burns. You ever just look at a book and you're like, I am so depressed that I cannot read you again for the first time. Honestly, that's how I feel about all these books. But we have House of Bane and Blood. When I tell you this book was literally made for me, this book was literally made for me. This is 1920s mafia, okay, meets romantasy. Get out right now. This is everything I want out of an arranged marriage. You get all of the tension, you get all of the banter, the slow burn. We also have a reluctant allies to lovers situation going on here because they come from rival families. This man, okay, he has a metal prosthetic hand. Like, yeah. Now let me tell you, okay, we were in our dark mafia romance era this year. Dark mafia romance is my favorite subgenre of dark romance. Mafia men, unmatched. Once you go mafia, you simply do not go back. What kickstarted my obsession, you ask? That would be the Maid series. There are 3 books out in this series. Each book follows a different couple. My favorite book from that series, The Maddest Obsession. Christian Alistair, listen. This man has been in therapy for 8 years because of his obsession with her. He's worn her hair tie for 8 years. He saved his first kiss for her. That's all you need to know, really. Keeping on the mafia train, okay, we have Sinners Condemned and also Sinners Consumed. They both follow the same couple, Rafe and Penny. This is the 2nd and 3rd book in the Sinners Anonymous series. Stop. Slow burn. Enemies to lovers. Age gap. He's her boss. She works on his yacht that they both live on. So you also get forced proximity. You want to see a man grovel? Like the way he gets on his knees for her and begs Rafe Visconti? Sir. Dawn of the Curse Queen by Amber V. Nicole. This is the 3rd book in the Gods and Monsters series. It was released this year. Each book just keeps getting better and better. Miss Mother Diana, she is also the morally gray one in this series. This is an urban fantasy romance series. We have multiple worlds. There's wars between gods. We get enemies to lovers, back to enemies. Sam Keel, also in my top 10 book boyfriends. He is a deadly cinnamon roll god who worships the ground she walks on. He is obsessed with her and all of her rage. This is also a series. Every single book ends on a cliffhanger that makes you want to throw up. We love it. Slay. Give it to me, inject it into my veins. I just had an intrusive thought telling me to dump this all over the couch. And, oh, why? Why does that happen? Next, we have Shadow in the Ember. This is the 1st book in the Flesh and Fire series, which is the prequel series to Blood and Ash. This is my favorite book in the entire universe. I've been following publication reading order, and I cannot recommend it enough. Daddy Niktos, the man that you are. Listen, when it comes to shadow daddies, call me a hoe because they will get me every time. I think one of the reasons why I was so obsessed with this book, not only is the writing leagues better than Blood and Ash, but also the connections to Blood and Ash, the little Easter eggs, the aha moments. Listen, I know from Blood and Ash gets a lot of heat. I get it. Not for me. I am having so much fun. Dragon shifters, well, they're actually called drakens. I'm obsessed with them. There's little baby dragons. Found Family is so good. I love the side characters. Single fucking daddies, okay? Single daddies. Listen. Heartless by Elsie Silver. Elsie Silver puts crack in her books, okay? I am yee-hawing right into these books. Chestnut Spring series was my cowboy romance awakening. I absolutely loved the entire series. Heartless was my favorite book. Single Dad Nanny, Grumpy Cowboy, Filthy Mouth, Easy to Please. Also, Elsie Silver, I am now crowning her the queen of writing spice. I don't know how she does it, but girl. This year I feel like my goal was to feel as much like pain from books as possible. And the Edge of Darkness trilogy absolutely succeeded in doing that. The first book is insatiable. This trilogy, another one, I'm gonna say it again, check your trigger warnings. This gets so insanely dark. This is second chance romance. This man, also morally black, definitely a psycho, but just like look at him. Like look at him for a second. I'm sorry. Kate and Stacy's love story is just like the definition of pain. He also is out for revenge on her. He absolutely hates her because he thinks she cheated on him years ago. It's crazy. I get so excited when I talk about books, I start to sweat. Like, does that happen to anyone else? Is that a shared experience? Oh, Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Listen, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm nothing if not basic. If there's a bandwagon, I'm getting myself in, I'm hopping on it, and I'm staying on that ride. This book deserves all of the hype it gets. I devoured this. This is classic fantasy romance with all of your favorite tropes in it that are done so right. Our FMC is a human and she's an alchemist, and she falls into this portal into the Fae realm. And that is where she meets none other than Shadow Daddy Fisher. This man, okay, King Fisher is what you want out of any book boyfriend. He is witty, he has good banter, he has a filthy mouth, he is deadly, he is completely and utterly obsessed with her, even though he doesn't want to be. We have this looming war going on between vampires and fae, court politics, political intrigue, so much action. She makes this bargain with him and now they're kind of stuck together. We have really good forced proximity, a touch of golden madness. I read this immediately after Quicksilver, so I read 2 6-star reads back to back. I was on cloud 9. Would you believe me if I told you I've had 5 1-star reads this month of December? Like, someone check in on me. We're not okay about it. This is a dark urban fantasy romance set in a post-apocalyptic world. We also have like dystopian vibes going on. We have a group of elementals and kinetics. They're at war. We also have humans living below ground. Both our FMC and MMC are morally gray. She is a runaway assassin princess. And the man that she was sent to unalive at the beginning of the book, yeah, she now has to work together with him. Slow burn, so much tension, a plot twist, multiple plot twists. That actually like made me ready to bang my head into a wall and just stay there. Just like stay in that wall. I'm honestly surprised my neighbors didn't file a noise complaint because I was screaming so much at the end of this book. Also, Griffin Silas, the emo sad boy, tortured soul MMC that you are, he has top 10 book boyfriend potential. Did you think I would go this whole video without mentioning Magnolia Parks? Wrong. We have Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, okay, which is my favorite book in the Magnolia Parks universe. And then we have Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, my second favorite book. I have to mention them both because all of these characters, they just like sliced up my heart, carved it up nice and jagged like, and took it. They took pieces of it. They might be in here somewhere. I'm never getting them back. I am a Daisy Hates girly. She's one of my favorite FMCs. Christian Hems, he's number 3 book boyfriend. They're one of my favorite fictional couples. This book haunts me, like in the best and worst way, because the cliffhanger that this left us dangling on, the pain that this ending caused me, if I think about it for too long, I start to tear up. Like I can't. All of these characters too Long Way Home as well, so flawed, so toxic. There's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of growth, but they just feel so real. This whole series sparked a whole new feeling for me when it comes two books that I don't think I'll ever get from anything else. This seeped into every part of my life. And then Magnolia and BJ, we learned so much about why they are the way they are, and just tears the entire time. Also, these two though make me want to punch something, preferably my face, because the frustration I get from them, but I still love them so much. Jessa Hastings' writing, poetry. Like, it's the way that I tab almost every single page of hers. And then also this introduced me to Julian Hates, and he is giving like mafia man energy. He's a crime lord, an art thief. He describes the woman he loves like his favorite art. Goodbye. Now that I feel depressed after that, let's go back to my mafia men. We have The Predator and the Reaper. These are the first two books in the Darkverse series, my favorite dark mafia romance series. These two books follow Tristan and Marana, and then the next books in the series each follow a different couple. They are superior to me. They are the best. Nobody compares. This is true enemies to lovers. Also, what I love so much about this is there is this continuous, insane plot line throughout, as well as these amazing love stories, which you don't always get in mafia romance. And then we have Tristan Kane, who is also in my top 10 book boyfriends. This man, he could tell me, okay, actually he wouldn't even have to ask me. There could be a bed of glass and nails and I would just crawl across it unprovoked to get to this man. And let me just say this. He barely talks. There's no explaining it. I can't explain it. He is one of those bookmen that insta love for me. I was like, that's my man. I don't care if he doesn't open his mouth. He's traumatized. I can fix him. They come from rival families, and the hatred they have towards each other in the beginning, you also get hate spicy scenes. Like when I say I want enemies to lovers, I want them to think about the other and get ill, like get nauseous just thinking about them. Last mafia book on the list, we have Blood of My Monster by Rena Kent. This is the first book in the Monster trilogy, which is her best work, and I will die on that hill. My water bottle matches my sweatshirt, which matches my nails, because I'm insufferable. She is disguised as a man in the military, trying to find out who was involved in her entire family's unaliving years ago. He is her captain in the military, and he's also the leader of the Russian mafia. He has to leave the military for his mafia work, and you know what he does? I'm going to tell you, that's what I'm going to do. He takes her with him as his own personal bodyguard and sniper. Just one problem. She thinks that his dad had something to do with her family's massacre. Oh no, what are we going to do? Kirill is daddy. Kirill has some of the best banter. He is hilarious. Give me a funny psychopath and I'm going to gobble it up like it's my last meal. You already know, okay? City of Lies and Legends by Kayla Edwards. This is the third book in the House of Devils series, one of my favorite fantasy romance series. Has my #1 book boyfriend, Darien Castle. I need everyone to experience this man. The fact that not everyone knows who he is actually makes me a little violent, I'm not gonna lie. The first book, City of Gods and Monsters, is one of my favorite slow burns. The last 200 pages of each of these books will have you gripping the edge of your seat, sweating and panicking. If you're like me, I mean, just like spiraling. The story starts with Loren's friend going missing, and she runs into Darien Castle, who is a magical bounty hunter, and he essentially ends up being like her own bodyguard and helps her find her friend. Urban fantasy romance, werewolves, vampires, angels, demons, everything you could think of. I could rave about this series for hours on end. Are you guys still with me? Do we need to pause for like a snack break? Go get something, a sweet treat maybe? Now, you think I'd make this video without mentioning this book? This book, Fairytale? You wanna have your mind put into a blender? Read this. What does that mean? I don't know. That's how this book felt. My brain was in a blender. This is a mix of gothic, horror, fantasy, and paranormal fiction, but at its core, it is a romance. If you don't like excruciatingly long slow burns, this might not be for you. We also switch between 3 different timelines. She's also visiting this demon man in her dreams that she's starting to fall for, but when she's awake, she's also falling for this other man. What's going on? What's real? What isn't? That's for you to find out. If you haven't read an MMC with a tale either, I highly recommend it, because the tale We also read another new God tier series this year. That is the Legacies series. The first book is Reign of Shadows and Endings. My favorite book in the series is Tempest of Wrath and Vengeance, which is the third book. This is a dark contemporary / urban fantasy. We have our Fae, our legacies, which are the most powerful, and then we have the humans. And in order for our legacies to replenish their power, they need Fae blood. And the heir of each kingdom gets to select a Fae to be their own personal power source. And at the very beginning of the first book, our MMC Theon picks our FMC Tessa to be his source, and that is literally the last thing she wants. This is also true enemies to maybe lovers. These characters are all morally gray. They are so flawed. These relationships are sick, twisted, and toxic. I am sick, twisted, and toxic. You get not one, but two scrumptious men in this series, one of which is a dragon shifter. Dragon shifters and we get along. Kingdom of Claw. Oh my God. This is the second book in the Ashen series, fantasy romance series. The first book is Road of Bones, which was 4 stars for me. I liked it. I wasn't obsessed with it. This 5 stars. This was a masterpiece. If I talk about the second book though, I will spoil everything, which we're not gonna do that here. But the first book, The Road of Bones, okay, our FMC is in danger and she has to get to safety because she's on the run. People wanna take her. She has to travel the deadly Road of Bones to get to this safe house. She makes a bargain with this group of mercenaries so that she could travel safely with them. This was my Viking awakening. Who knew? Who knew? Who would have thunk it? The first book is a book where nothing is as it seems. Like, I thought I knew what was going on, didn't. I am really easy to fool though. So don't take that one lightly. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I read things and I'm like, I don't know if I'm just dumb. Like, is there a thought behind my eyes sometimes? Because some of my friends will read these books. I'm like, craziest plot twist. Are you ready for this? Oh my God, you are going to freak out. And they'll pick up on it like the first few chapters. And I'm just, okay, I'm just gonna see myself out. Last but most definitely not least, oh girl, when I tell you I've never wanted to swing on a book so hard in my entire life. Anyways, this is second chance romance, but it's not, because it's like 5th, 6th, 7th, probably 11th chance at this point. This is the epitome of a right person, wrong time over and over and over and over again. They are so toxic. When toxicity, miscommunication is done right, I want it. I want it every single day of the week. I've never felt so much like visceral rage and anger at characters, but also so much love for them. And I'm rooting for them the entire time, even though I hate them. You know what I'm saying? This was a book I read this in less than 24 hours because I couldn't put it down. Canceled all plans. I needed to know what was going to happen. I cried a lot. So read it, I guess, at your own risk. That is all. Those were 24 absolutely phenomenal books that I read this year. 2025, I am not, nothing is going to compare, I fear. But now you're welcome because you have 24 books to add to your TBR. So I'm just looking out for my book besties. The sun is setting, it's a Friday, and let me tell you, I have a hot date with my Kindle for the rest of the evening. At this point, you've probably had enough of my face. I have had enough of my face. I can't listen to my voice anymore. So that is all I have for you today.